My people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. Hosea chapter 4, verse 6. To understand the world we live in, we must understand the symbols surrounding us. This world is run by symbols. Symbols are a method of communicating an idea without having to speak a word. Today, symbols are placed everywhere without us knowing what they mean or who they represent. The thing about it is that the more we see these symbols and do not understand them, or we place a sense of ignorance on them that tells us they are harmless or even sometimes good, we can sometimes be initiated into the occult and mystery religions that are actually against our morals and beliefs. That might have been too deep to just start off with, so let me digress a little. Manly Hall, a 33rd degree Scottish Rite Freemason, philosopher, and occultist, said this about symbolism in his book, The Secret Teachings of All Ages, written in 1928. Symbolism is the language of the mysteries. By symbols, men have ever sought to communicate to each other those thoughts which transcend the limitations of language. In a single figure, a symbol may both reveal and conceal, for to the wise, the subject of the symbol is obvious, while to the ignorant, the figure remains inscrutable. Hence, he who seeks to unveil the secret doctrine of antiquity must search for that doctrine not upon the open pages of books which might fall into the hands of the unworthy, but in the place where it was originally concealed. Still too deep? Did you catch what he was saying though? Summed up, he basically says symbols are obvious to those who know their meaning, and the ignorant remains impossible to understand or interpret it. And that's why this video is so important. As you begin to study and investigate the history of secret societies, mystery religions, the occult, and ancient pagan civilizations, you begin to understand just how true and deep that quote actually is. To understand symbols, we must dig up their origin, and much of them are often deeply hidden in occult mysteries. If we remain ignorant to them, we can become seriously deceived. If you understand what you're seeing, it's very easy to understand why and how the world is so wicked and how far we have moved towards darkness. Things that were once done in secret are now done by the masses. It's a signal to them that the world is ready to accept what they've been planning in secret for ages. This video is not just another video showing sellouts using satanic gestures. The purpose of this video, as is the purpose of all my videos on this channel, is to educate you on what you are seeing and what it means, so that through knowledge we can diminish the effect these symbols play upon us, our children, our family, and our friends. Knowledge is power, and that is why the elite a long time ago made it their mission to remove our power through reducing our knowledge to zero. So this video will cover symbols. This is just the introduction. There are many symbols, so I will teach on more in future videos. The first part about symbolism that I need to communicate is that you cannot change the meaning of a symbol. If a symbol was originally created to portray or communicate a specific message, it doesn't matter what you decide that you want to use it for. It still means what it always was meant to mean. The only thing that it means for you is that you've been using and representing something that you do not completely understand. It's very possible that you're promoting, representing, and or communicating something that is totally against what you really believe in. Let's use an example. Let's take this symbol. This is a pentagram. We start with this because it is an easy recognizable symbol, and for the most part, many people know it's satanic. Now, you can't just take this symbol and then say you're making it represent Yahshua now. In your heart, you might really believe it to be true, that you're doing a good thing by taking the bad and reclaiming it. But while you're transmitting this symbol with a pure heart, everyone that knows what the symbol really means is seeing Satan. The only person that is deceived would be you and whoever was influenced by you. Please understand you cannot change the meaning of a symbol, no matter how noble your intentions. The second part I need to communicate is just because you see someone use these symbols doesn't mean that they're a sellout. Now, they're definitely deceived, and let's not even beat around the bush with that, but not everyone is a sellout. Many are just confused and don't have enough knowledge. But trust, there are a majority of people in the limelight that do use these symbols, and they are in fact sellouts. The way you understand the difference is reviewing them completely and not just by one picture. But please understand, if they are embraced by the world, or they have a job that they will be seen or noticed by many, and they use these symbols, not to mention they are associating with other known sellouts, it is a high probability they have already sold out in some way as well. There's levels to this understanding, and that's why if you understand the symbols completely and then understand the dynamics of the underworld, it's easy to understand the sellouts from the deceived. The last point to understand is that symbolism is so dangerous, not primarily because of our conscious minds, but our subconscious minds. This is a part of our brain that we are not trained to guard. But if you understand what you're seeing, your subconscious will be trained to know that you are just seeing and coming across evil consistently. Let me explain just a little deeper. Our conscious minds, which is always busy trying to make meaningful sense of everything we see and hear, is limited as to how much it can process. Very much like a computer, if you give it too much to process at once, it could overload. But our subconscious mind is constantly collecting and storing all information, especially information which our conscious mind is unable to process immediately. This is why people that understand this specifically target our subconscious. This is why advertising agencies hire psychologists. Psychology is the study of the mind, and they need to understand how the mind works in order to manipulate it to do what they're promoting. Have you ever heard a song a few times and then all of a sudden knew the lyrics without ever training your mind to actually know the lyrics yourself? That's your subconscious learning things without you actually training yourself to do it. So symbolism attacks our conscious minds as well as our subconscious minds. And this is how subliminal messages get through. The definition of subliminal is below the threshold of sensation or consciousness, perceived by or affecting someone's mind without their being aware of it. Subliminal messages are specifically designed to influence our mental processes and behavior. This is why they're used. So the more you see these symbols throughout the days, weeks, months, years, you are being communicated a message that you are seeing all the time but do not clearly know it is happening or what is actually being communicated to you. Listen to Will Smith explain it in the movie Focus.
How did you know who he was gonna pick?
We told him to. We've been telling him all day.
From the moment he left his hotel room, we've been priming him, programming his subconscious. He's been seeing the number 55 all day long. On the elevator, in the lobby, even the stick pin on the doormat. Not only that, we loaded his route from the hotel to the stadium. He looks out the window, primers are everywhere. Now he doesn't see it, but he does. There's no getting around it. He even sees far.
That is genius.
Yeah, and it's not only what he sees, it's what he hears. The Mandarin word for 5 is woo. There are 124 woo-woos in sympathy for the devil. Now he's not registering it, but it's all there. So when he picks up those binoculars, looks out on the field, sees a familiar face with the number 55 on his jersey, some little voice in the back of his mind says, that's it. And he thinks it's intuition, and he picks.
Do you want me to write it down?
And you, being in the dark, was the convincer. We call that the little blind mouse.
Movies today always seems to communicate what they're doing. The thing is, most of us aren't paying enough attention. So all these points about symbols need to be understood. Now I wish they were trying to subliminally transmit signals and messages that promoted righteousness, but they are actually doing the opposite. And the effects of what they're doing can directly be seen when reviewing the change in our morals and values over time. Over time, you have seen these symbols more and more in abundance, while over time, you have also seen our moral fabric shifting and changing. And I'm not placing the blame 100% on symbolism, but when I see someone that says they love Yahweh hold up a sign that says I love Lucifer, there's a problem and it needs to be addressed. Our society is shaped by our morals and beliefs. Our morals and beliefs are influenced by what we watch, read, and hear. What's acceptable in our society today was once completely unacceptable not even 50 to 60 years ago. That's greatly due to what has been transmitted to us over time. We've had a very subtle, but definitely steady decline in our standards of acceptance in regards to things like sex, violence, language, blasphemy, etc. And that's all because of what has been presented by mass media through formats like music, movies, video games, television, sports, etc. We have become completely desensitized to things our grandparents' generation, as a majority, found completely inappropriate for mass consumption. You must understand the global elite, the members of these secret societies, and the people of the occult that are working towards a specific agenda are obsessed with symbolism and numerology. One of the globalist elite favorite strategy is to leave blueprints to their plans hidden right in plain sight. They tell us what they're planning and where the world is going, but they also know the majority is not paying attention. Think about it. Look at the movies that speak about the future. A majority of movies about the future portray some kind of global government or global catastrophe. From all these messages, and the symbolism specifically, we are constantly reminded by these occultists, Satanists, Illuminati, Freemasons, or however you want to classify them as a whole, that we are accepting their system and they are in control. The symbols communicate allegiance of the person displaying the symbol, or just simply to know whose agenda this is a part of. So now that all the preliminary info is given, I can now start explaining these symbols. If there are things about symbolism that you still do not understand, not about the symbol directly, but why they matter so much or are dangerous, if you leave your question in the comments, I can maybe address it in future videos. But I think you have at least a foundation on symbolism right now. The best thing you can do is to have knowledge, and if you're still watching, that's what I will be trying to provide you. Let's begin. The all-seeing eye. I'm covering this symbol because this is something that is probably thrown at you everywhere, and while many of us recognize it, how many can really say they really understand what it is? It's on the back of our dollar bill. We see entertainers and top stars constantly displaying it. But again, where does it come from, and what does it mean? It's communicated in different forms. Sometimes it's a single eye within a pyramid, just like what's on the dollar bill of what they call the Great Sale of the United States. It's also just presented as a single eye by itself. It's one eye, and people show it in many ways. I mean, look at my son's Mario game on the iPad. They give it everywhere. It's also referred to as your third eye. It's symbolized in multiple different ways, but at the root, it means one thing. In a short summary, this is just a representation of Lucifer. It's the eye of Lucifer. When you see this, it simply represents Lucifer. But here's more background information. It's supposed to reference God watching over mankind, only it's not the God of Israel. It's also reference to the eye of providence. The eye itself is a powerful symbol, going back to ancient roots in Egypt, also known as the Eye of Horus. If you've seen part 1 of my History of Religion series, you will know exactly who Horus is. The Eye of Horus, often seen with an eyebrow above, represents the supposed omnipresent vision of the sun god Horus. It also represents secret or occult wisdom. This eye was painted on the sides of Egyptian funerary caskets in the hope that it would enable the corpse to see its way through the journey of the afterlife. The eye itself is often associated with the idea of light and spirit. It is often referred to as the mirror of the soul. The eye is representing God within. Like the third eye, for example. The third eye signifies the higher self, the part of man's consciousness that is ego-free and can guide and direct him. Our other two primary eyes are used for outward vision, while the third eye in the center is the eye of wisdom. It supposedly directs its view internally. This is why you always see the Buddha with this third eye, or you hear others talking about opening their third eye. The all-seeing eye within Freemasonry is shown in the triangle with rays of light emanating from the lower lid. The Masonic Dictionary says it is an important symbol of the Supreme Being, the sign of omniscience. In Freemasonry, it stands for the great architect of the universe. So we see the symbol used in many different ways, but all very similar. At the core and foundation of what you are seeing is actually Lucifer. Anytime you see this reference to one eye, they are referencing Lucifer, and that's why all the meanings of the symbol all closely align with the spiritual knowledge of good and evil that the serpent promised Eve if she disobeyed Elohim. This knowledge includes the knowledge that Satan is the god of this world who rewards them that serve and worship him. So understand that anytime you are seeing this eye, it represents Lucifer and his false knowledge. Anyone that says they're opening their third eye is actually tapping into the knowledge of Lucifer. When you see the stars and actors doing the one eye symbol, the masses just sum it up as representing that they are part of the Illuminati. what they are actually representing is their allegiance to Lucifer. So anytime you see the symbol in all or different forms, you're seeing a representation of Lucifer, and that's why the symbol is seen everywhere. You need to understand this and teach your kids that too. This symbol has no effect on my youngest son because he sees it everywhere and points it out. He recognizes evil and is not giving him tolerance of Lucifer. Like I tried to explain in the long intro, it's not that you will be worshiping Lucifer yourself, but that you are gaining a tolerance for him, and also that you're being prepared for his arrival on the scene. This isn't about a secret society like the Illuminati. They are preparing the world for Satan, and the more you see the symbol and gain tolerance of it, you're gaining tolerance and acceptance of him. If you have opened the third eye, you have allowed a demon in, and you need to remove it. This is what the symbol means. The horned hand, or El Diablo. This symbol is just full of deception, because over time it has been used for many different things. At one time, people thought it was a symbol for rock and roll, or it was a sign to ward off the evil eye. It has a lot of different names, but what it represents is again very simple. And before I explain it, listen to what Anton LaVey, founder of the Church of Satan, has to say about it.
Would you like me to show them how the sign of the curse works?
Sign of the
completely
curse?
different.
How does it go?
No, not at you people out there in the audience, but this is the difference.
Aim it toward Red China, would you?
This is the sign of the horns, a curse sign, the two fingers extended. This way, spread apart for sort of shotgun blast, you know.
I always
all over,
figured if I ever
when
met
it's
the
together.
devil, he'd have dirty fingernails. Go on.
No, they're not.
Yes, they are.
Where?
Dirty fingernails.
Well, that's because I've been fooling around with your equipment.
Never mind. Don't blame it on the studio. Go on with it.
All right.
So that's the sign of the horn, and then what happens? Is that it?
Well, there are other ones, too.
Yeah, what are the other ones?
The other one's, one of them's the pox sign. That's three fingers extended.
A pox on you?
A pox on you. During the Middle Ages, this was
Yeah. Oh, yes.
used. But
You're
originally...
a bad cat.
Well, you have to be bad to be good, don't
Is it
you?
true that you teach people how to make voodoo dolls and stick pins in them to hurt people?
That's right. I believe that hate is necessary in a controlled way just as much as love is necessary.
He calls it the sign of the curse. And listen, if that doesn't do it for you, knowing that you may be using a sign or have tolerance of a sign that the founder of the Church of Satan uses as well, then you may need more understanding than this video can provide. This symbol is used in a few different ways. The hand gesture is shown like this, with the thumb in, and like this, with the thumb out. Most people like to say that, no, this sign means I love you in sign language. But all one needs to do is a small amount of research, and you will find that Helen Keller was a Satanist and a Theosophist. This is easily proven by reading from her books. She was a published author. One of her books, originally called My Religion, published in 1927, later was revised in 1994 and called Light in My Darkness. Read from this book and you can see her beliefs are guided through Satan and not Elohim, spreading that false light. So anyway, this sign is not a sign for I love you, but more in fact a sign for I love you, Satan. This sign is called the horned hand and is believed to be the depiction of the woolly goat of Mendes or Baphomet. It is synonymous with Satan or Lucifer. It is done in three ways with the hand. This type is meant for the right hand. In this gesture, the thumb should be kept under the clenched middle and ring fingers. This hand sign signifies the horn god of witchcraft. Again, this is Satan. The second type of gesture is meant for the left hand. In this case, the thumb should be kept over the middle and ring fingers. This hand sign is usually used to curse someone by pointing it directly towards the person. This is what Anton LaVey referenced as the sign of the curse. Then there's the way of I love you or rock and roll. These signs are used in so many different ways, but again, like the all-seeing eye, it is all a reference to Lucifer. One way, if pointed at you, literally can mean someone is trying to place a curse upon you. The other two ways is in reference to allegiance to Satan. This is a symbol that many want to ignore the underlying meaning and make it represent what they want it to, because over time it just has many different meanings. They have this sign shown through many people, and because you think it can mean different things, you may give the person using this sign a pass and say they must mean it in a good way. Let me explain. There are no good ways in showing this sign. It 100% is reference to Satan. If you are using it and think it means something different to you, you have been deceived. This is a satanic symbol with many different names. I have the names listed on my website. You need to be aware. There can be much more said about this because it's used so much. But if you recognize the 3 ways it's used with the hand, and every time you see it, you see a representation of Lucifer, you are awake on what it means, and we are bringing down its power against society one by one. So in conclusion of this part, you have really understood symbolism and why and how it's used. But you also learned about 2 of the most used signs that literally is referencing Satan. Whenever you see these symbols used, even if you want to give the person displaying the symbol the benefit of the doubt, please know that the symbol means Lucifer, and you cannot afford to be deceived. I want you to have no tolerance for Lucifer, and instead of being desensitized by his influence, you should now be sensitive to it. When you see a representation of Lucifer all over, and then you see so many influencers promoting him, it's very easy to see how far into darkness the world has really gotten. You need to have knowledge of what's going on, and then be saved by the blood of Yahshua to really fight the spiritual battles that these symbols are provoking. If you've opened your third eye, either by accident, knowingly, or unknowingly, you need to rebuke it in the name of Yahshua and close that spiritual door. For time purposes, I only covered these 2 symbols, but I will be covering a lot more in other videos. My only goal is to educate you and give you power. What you do with it is your decision, but I hope that you use it to serve Yahweh and commit your life to Him. The more evil you see the world, the more conviction you'll have not to be swayed by it. If you are not subscribed to this channel, please make sure you do. If this blessed you, please like it and share it with others. This isn't just a video calling out sellouts because of hand gestures and symbols. You should now be educated on what you're seeing. Please follow me on Facebook and Instagram. Thank you for watching. Thanks again for your support. I love you all.